Life. Welcome to Lessons for Life. It's Wednesday night. If you want to get involved, click the link in the description. Standing by, we've got Omar X. We'll have a word with him on this hot topic, the wedding of the year. Welcome to Lessons for Life. We've got Omar with us. Omar, are you there?
I am here, sir.
Commiserations, Omar. I'm guessing you must be devastated when you woke up this morning and read the news.
Well, in a way I am, and in a way I am jubilant and very happy for her.
Yeah, you're happy for them, for her. Yeah. Did it surprise you? This is the girl that said, I still don't understand why people have to get married. If you want to have a person in your life, why do you have to sign marriage papers? Why can't it just be a partnership?
Well, that is so open for discussion. What was she really saying? Was she saying that we should be able to have partners freely, or was she saying we can still love without being physical? Or was she saying something else?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, look, people have leapt on this to portray her as some kind of a hypocrite. I think it's very unfair. We all have many thoughts throughout the day, don't we? If we wrote them all down,
Mm,
we'd be a hypocrite before long.
mm,
But I think people were surprised that she said this, maybe from a religious perspective. Isn't
mm.
she a Muslim girl? And, marriage is half the religion, is it not? I mean, I remember you telling me
Yeah,
that.
marriage is half the religion. It's not a lot of people say, and that's
Mm.
perfectly understandable. That's a second portion of a human being's life, I suppose, so we can understand that. But with Malala saying, "Why do you have to sign marriage papers?" It could that even mean we can still love without signing papers, even in marriage? Why is it necessary to physically sign papers? There's such a strong bond that she has seemingly with this man. So was
Mm.
she referring to just the actual act of signing something for true love to be present in her life?
Maybe. I mean, I understand what she's saying, but why has every society that we know of had this marriage convention within it? It's kind of universal. Wouldn't that suggest that it's a natural inclination to pair off, or sometimes not even pairs? Polygamy was the
Mm.
standard practice across most of the world for most of history until
Mm.
people limited it. Let's have a little look at the footage then of the happy day.
Nobel Prize winner Malala Yousafzai confirmed that she is now a married woman. Sharing a few photos of her intimate nikah ceremony held at her home in UK's Birmingham, Malala wrote she married Asir to be partners for life, adding that they are excited to walk together. 24-year-old Malala is a Pakistani activist for girls' education and the youngest Nobel Prize winner in history. In 2012, she gained global recognition after she was shot in the head by the Taliban in northwest Pakistan for advocating the right of education for girls. She was 16 years old when she delivered a speech at the United Nations headquarters on the need for gender equality in education.
There you have it, hot off the press.
Mm.
Do you have any sense of how Malala is viewed within Pakistan? Is she one of these people that's more famous outside of their own country than within it? Kind of like a Rolf Harris.
Well, she's probably, well, most certainly she's infamous in many parts of the world. But you see, that infamy, as Kenneth Williams used to say, they just have it in for me. In
Oh dear.
in in reality, oh matron, in
Yes.
reality, the anyone who hates a young girl for advocating
Yeah.
girls' education
Is just
has to be an
jealous.
absolute fool. It's
So
you're
why
right.
do
I mean,
is it that? Why do they have it in for her?
there is jealousy and there's oppression. There's parts of the world where many people don't see girls' education as necessary.
Mhm.
Thankfully, I don't think it's as what it was perhaps 20 years ago. But
So are we saying that the more conservative within society might think she's a puppet for the West and she wants to not just educate our women but westernize them and distance themselves from religion, for
well,
example?
only not only I think somebody very, very low working class, kind of like really uneducated
Oh no,
and beyond actually,
they're
and
the
beyond
worst.
who think that.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone, well, not necessarily working class, but I mean, there's obviously factors within the working class community. I don't think anyone in middle class spectrum or upper middle class or lower middle class will ever think that. But for somebody to think that a young girl is now intending to westernized women, you are entitled to your culture, wherever your culture is, wherever someone's clothing is and thinking is, they are entitled to that. So I don't know why people think that. Why would she have an agenda? It just makes no sense for a young girl to have an agenda to risk her life over that agenda. I mean, they warned her, the Taliban, they warned her that if you continue advocating girls' education, and she was a young kid going to school, are we gonna you know shoot you basically? And that's
Mm.
exactly what she did. She secretly would take books, and they were just English, just basic books,
English
for
books,
like
there you
kids.
go. Propagating the English language,
Well,
westernizing
I'm
people.
saying English books, and the reason I'm saying English books, I assume everywhere in the world people are learning English, but I could be wrong. It could have been Afghan books, it could have been Urdu books, so it didn't necessarily. I mean, I don't think the Taliban really, whoever shot her, I don't think they were concerned. Oh, these are English books or not French books or not Italian books. So maybe she was just saying learn Arabic, But I think it's hatred, misogyny, chauvinism, just complete jealous. You are right, complete jealousy. That now even look at. I don't know if you have many young listeners now. Your report said I think she was 16 and she was doing a speech
Hmm.
in front of
Hmm.
the whole world's leaders. How many other 16-year-olds are capable of doing that to that high standard? None. So there's going to be jealousy and hatred and unnecessary dislike and visceral, just so many issues people have. I mean, where do you point that before a man, for any human being?
Hmm.
It's bad enough if they attempt to take a life, but to shoot a young girl in the head, especially one who's a people's champion, you got to be a disgrace.
No doubt. Well, look, let's contrast this happy news and the new start for Malala with a marriage that didn't work out. Let's
Mm.
see if you recognise who this is.
Shamima moved over when she was 15. You met in Raqqa. She was at the Women's Centre in Raqqa. You married her when she was 15 years old.
That's correct.
How in any way is that acceptable? You were what, 23?
To be honest, when my friend came and he said there was a girl she was interested in marriage, I wasn't really interested because of her age. But I accepted the offer anyways, and we sat down. And she seemed like in a good state of mind. Yeah, she was very young, and maybe would have been better for her to wait a bit, but she didn't. She chose to get married, and I choose to marry her.
That was Shamima Begum's ex-husband. That marriage didn't work out. She wasn't happy how she wound up. How do we contrast Malala deciding to get married in her 20s, having thought maybe she wouldn't need to, with a teenager? You've described her as being groomed. This is talking about Shamima Begum. And it didn't work out. What's the lesson in those two differing outcomes?
Well, it's interesting that we're hearing from the ex-husband. According to GMTV, well, I think according to any information that we had, both of her husbands were killed. So I'm not sure if she's been married 3 times now.
Could this be a third one? I mean, I don't know if it's
going on.
archive footage that has emerged. I thought it was a recent
No.
interview.
Well, it does seem recent. You are right, but no, 2 of her former husbands, were killed, and I think from her own admittance. So that's very strange. But to be fair, and if I'm being frank, your story a couple of weeks ago about the
Yes,
9-year-old being
yes,
married to the 53-year-old, this means nothing.
yes.
So 15 compared to 23 is acceptable in comparison to the 53-year-old and 9-year-old. That's a horrific story. But it's interesting that our young girl in this country heads off, and especially the understanding that we have in this country. I can't imagine a girl, unless she's been groomed, of course, but thinking that she doesn't have the right to choose and refuse who she wishes to marry. Why did she think that she just has to marry a stranger? And why was she so eager to marry at 50? And it's just, there's a lot of questions around there.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions. I would imagine it would be, as you say, being pressured, being coerced into something. There's a lot of that that goes on.
Well, according to that man, she seemed keen. Or according to a alleged ex-husband, she seemed keen. He wasn't into it. He wanted to wait, but she didn't want to wait. So if she was being coerced, and surely she would have wanted to at least attempt to get away from there.
Well, I mean, the best form of coercion or persuasion is convincing someone that they want something that might not actually be good for them.
But at 15, it just, I don't know. So it is grooming. If that's the case, then this is clear-cut grooming. This is a young girl out there, and young girls here, I'm sure they're fully aware ordinarily that they don't want to get married at 15, I'm sure. But it's a very strange story, and I hope that she does return to this country and they get to ask her how she went, who contacted her, and these questions. We need to solicit this information from her, so we can preclude other young girls from being groomed the way she was.
Yeah, well, heading to Syria in that direction was made very easy, and it's the return journey that's proving difficult. But Turkey made the border very porous into Syria so that the foreign fighters and whoever else was supporting them could flow in, could stampede into the country.
Yeah, but it's also interesting that now, to be fair to Turkey, I'm sure she went through surreptitiously. I'm sure she never got to the border and said, "Hey, I want to go to."
You sure? You sure?
I'm not certain, but I assume
I've seen
according to
that
the
border,
TV
Omar.
programs.
I was at that border in 2014, and I could have walked through quite easily. It was
I'm not sure
not.
around the ISIS time, around that time, I would have assumed there would be an army blocking that section. So at the very least, the army bases and all the military would be at the border to prevent ISIS.
Things got very murky, and it wasn't ISIS
Yeah.
that were controlling the border. It was the likes of the Free Syria Army, but within their ranks were people who later defected to the more extreme groups. you can reel them off. It's like
But
alphabet
it
soup.
just, yeah, but it still doesn't make any sense. Even Islamically, it makes no sense. I want to go there to live under Islamic rule. Now, she should have known that, what is Islamic rule? You can live under Islamic rule right now, right here. You don't need to. It's a rule for you. So I'm not sure. Maybe as you know, when people are young, they do unbelievably crazy things. Maybe she just was so brainwashed that we have to go. But then, wouldn't it be better to go to Mecca then? Wouldn't that be the place to go, or Medina, if you want to live under Islamic rule? Why did she ignore that and go over here?
It's a very good point. Do people do that? Do people decide I'm going to go and live in Mecca or Medina?
Well, Muslims
Is it
believe,
is it
and
possible?
it's more likely you would have thought, but I've been to Mecca, Medina. I've worked out there, so I've been many times throughout my life, and I've certainly felt, even from a non-religious point of view, I've certainly felt in Medina there seems to be, and I'm not sure if it's because the buildings are so vast, that there seems to be this peace and tranquility, and you can hear this from non-Muslims also, and I think some famous YouTubers have converted to Islam now that they've let non-Muslims come into Medina. Um, so with that peace and tranquility, maybe she had never been there. I think that also, is 15 is very young. So she had probably
But
never been to Saudi Arabia or Mecca. But that would be the ideal thing, because Muslims believe in rewards and righteousness, and I think the rewards of doing good are multiplied, 100,000 times or something. So on that basis, if you're so focused on the next life, you want to make as many rewards as you can. But my focus would be on helping the poor and helping the needy. That that ostensibly is the highest reward that anyone could get. But I think because that young age, and maybe she was very gullible, and it's a tragic situation for all the three girls.
and what you found in Medina, this tranquility,
Mm,
peacefulness, whatever it is, sukoon. What about
mm.
Morocco and rural Morocco? Do you not find the same kind of environment there?
Um, no, I can't say I have. I've been to a few Arab countries, and I don't think, and I'm speaking from a non-religious point of view because I'm not particularly religious, of a high standard, I have to admit. But there is something in Medina, and that I have felt. It's inexplicable, and I'm happy that anyone listening can now go on to YouTube and go on to non-Muslims in Medina, and they will say exactly what I'm saying. I'm not sure if it's due to the size of the buildings. Could that be an impact? I'm not sure. But then I've been to other places that have also vast buildings, and nothing of the sort. So maybe there's people from all over the world. I'm not sure if that's an impact, but certainly there is tranquility there. It's inexplicable. It's certainly palpable. And so explaining this is really impossible, but I have felt it, and I can assure you now, thankfully, people won't think I'm crazy, because there's many other people now on YouTube that say that they felt exactly the same thing, and who are thankfully also non-Muslims who subsequently converted to Islam.
Hmm. And Medina was founded due to this concept of hijrah, right? Of emigrating away
Hmm,
if there's
hmm.
uh, certain conditions. I mean, isn't this what Shamima Begum thought she was trying to achieve by going to live under Islamic law?
Well, perhaps I think that maybe it may go down back to those words. You're right. It could be that. I think she says something similar. I thought that was my Islamic duty to go there. But then, the structure of Muslims in England,
Hmm.
why did she not discuss that? We don't have that parish like the church has. And like, if you have an issue, could she have not at least said, hey, why are we living under this law? Now, not far from me, probably a 1 minute walk, we had an entire family of, I think, 15, extended family, that headed off to Syria and immediately died. I think most of them
Oh
died.
my
They're all
God.
dead now, sadly. So it was, the father went, so natural. So it wasn't just kids. It was a whole. They went to Turkey, and a Bangladeshi family. or heritage. And
Yeah.
it was a terrible situation. I'm not sure what their thinking was. If a grown man is thinking that, then a 15-year-old is, open
So
to any suggestions.
where is this message coming from? If countless people, and you've just named several, are going to try to live in Syria, why is no one heading for Medina? I would have thought that would be the
Yeah,
first stop.
yeah, absolutely. But you got to remember, I'm living in a working class community. I'm pretty sure Shamima Begum is in a working class community. So when you're in a working class community, you don't have that structure that Essex or whichever other town, Sussex, and
You've
that
got it in
they
for the
have.
working class tonight. This is the second time you've had a pop at them.
I think I've got an excuse now. This time I'm speaking in favor. And before, when I mentioned working class, I said the lowest spectrum of
Ah,
working class.
the lowest of the low. Okay.
Yeah. So
You're
everyone thinks
offending
we're
a
all
lot of
working class.
Marxists tonight.
Not necessarily lowest of the low, but I have sympathy for working class people. But to be fair, as a member of a working class community myself, we don't have that structure. For example, if I have a question, an Islamic question,
Mm.
I don't have that ability to turn up to a mosque and say, "Excuse me, I have this question. Can somebody answer it?" And one of the reasons is I'm pretty sure if I do find a mosque, the man there is going to be incapable of answering my question because he's also from a working class background. So we don't have that opportunity
What would he
and that
know?
education. I know realistically, he wouldn't know. If I can pose a question to him, it's more likely that I come on your show and get the information or get my question answered by some of the Muslim callers that you have.
Yeah, well, they're welcome to join us if they want to click on the link. We'll have a chat. If we've got a scholar tuning in, I know Sheikh Imran Hussein does watch this channel from time to time. Look, I don't want to dampen the mood too much, but you told me about a story earlier on, so I'll just run the video. This is some of the horrific events in some working class communities in London. Maybe we can have a little chat about this.
Keon Lincoln, full of life, full of energy, with a beaming smile according to his family, was just 15 when he was shot and stabbed meters from his front door in Birmingham. This, one of his killers, Michael Oguchukwu, caught on
Sorry, not
CCTV
London,
armed with the
Birmingham.
knife he stabbed
Correction.
Keon with just seconds later. One of a group of teenagers who murdered him, the youngest of whom was the gunman at just 14. Keon's mother, Charmaine, left grieving her son, a child killed at the hands of children.
We heard what happened, heard the gunshots, and my first instinct was, where's my son? Those are the first words I said, where's my son?
The group drove to Keon's house in this stolen white car, armed with knives and a loaded gun. He'd been standing on the street. This the moment the car stopped and the attack began, when Keon was chased, stabbed before being shot dead. Police later found the car abandoned. Inside the footwell, one of the knives used in the attack that lasted just 40 seconds. Two of the killers were caught on CCTV in the aftermath. They, 18-year-old Tarjim Breckenridge and Michael Oguchukwu, were found guilty of murder, alongside a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old who can't be named because of their age. A fifth teenager, 18-year-old Kieran Donaldson, who supplied the weapons, was found guilty of manslaughter.
It has been extremely difficult knowing that those responsible for such a terrible act were only very young themselves. Why would they pick up such, deadly weapons, including a firearm, and decide to use it against another individual?
Some believe Keon was the victim of a post-Code War, but police say they still don't know exactly why he was targeted. Another young life lost in a senseless killing. Sejal Karia, ITV News.
Hi, Ma. Children killing children. What's going on, mate?
Did you notice a couple? I'm sure you did notice that all the people involved there, the deceased and the killers and the person who went down for manslaughter, which is also very strange because I didn't know if I would hand you a gun and you shot somebody, I didn't think I would be arrested on manslaughter.
Oh, yes. Well, Yes, accessory to murder. Is that,
Mm.
or in this case, manslaughter? Yeah, if you facilitate a murder, are you not in some sense responsible?
Absolutely. He handed them, he sold that to them.
Hmm.
What else am I going to do with it? I'm not going to go farming, am I? With a
Yeah.
pistol or something. So that's a very strange outcome there. If he didn't hand them the weapons, perhaps none of this would have happened. But you've noticed that, unfortunately, that all the participants here are black.
Hmm.
And also, there's something behind this. There's another thing, and that they didn't interview the father. And this is a huge problem with respect to all the black listeners that we have in the black community. You look at even the famous celebrities that we have, Tupac Shakur, no father, Louis Farrakhan, no father, Biggie Smalls, no father. So that,
Well,
that,
Omar,
and I'm
you
not,
just you're reeling off black people. Are you saying that fatherlessness is a problem in the black community? I mean, is there such a thing as the black community? These are young black boys in Birmingham. I said London by mistake. It's actually Birmingham. Some of them sound like they're of an African background. You're comparing that with black Americans 20 years ago. Don't those communities have nothing to do with each other than the color of their skin? Or are
firstly,
you
the
saying
black
there's
boys.
something about this black people? Uh, what are you saying here?
Well, I'll get to that, but firstly, the black boys, even though they had African heritage, I'm sure they were black British. For start, I'm pretty sure they were all born here. I'm saying that the parents, now they interviewed the mother. There was no father. Where's the father? So now, if that young kid had a problem, he could have gone to his dad and said, "Look, I have this problem." Now, I mentioned the other the celebrities, and I could continue, and then those celebrities admit this themselves that they grew up with no father in their home. I'm saying that for some reason, I'm not sure what it is, that there is a huge problem with kids growing up with no father. Uh, I'm not saying that to be mean, or I'm not saying that to appear, a racist or anything. I'm just simply saying this, and I have to say it because I feel it's something that we need to really discuss. Because without a home structure, the kid could do anything. The kid, could go and do, and he doesn't have the assistance, and you need some sort of family background. You look at Asian families, Chinese and beyond, all family orientated. Any problem, there's always someone to go to. In this case, this poor kid, he couldn't go to anyone. He didn't have anyone at home apart from his mum, and that bond is never really present with the mother. Another thing I might add
Hmm.
is that with black people, and we look at these crimes, it's not even shocking. It's not even a big deal anymore. And I think that one of the things that this country and the police are responsible for somewhat, well, completely really, but there's no immediate attention given here. This isn't like Chinese people killing, what's going on. It's just like the norm. It's not even a big deal. I mean, I really hope that it's not the case, but I think it seems black women are almost expecting some of their kids to be killed in this manner, which is very worrying.
Well, just to highlight that this issue does affect other communities, there was a terrible trend of knife crime and murders in Glasgow, which
Mm.
is an almost exclusively white city. It was white teenagers that were involved. So it does affect other communities, but you have noticed a pattern within what you call the black community, and you seem to be attributing it to fatherlessness or absent fathers. You may be onto something. I don't know.
I mean,
There's,
yeah, it's certainly something that someone should have looked into. It does seem to be a link, somewhat. I'm saying this respectfully, and I know it's a sensitive topic. But also comparing, yes, there were issues in Glasgow, but
Mhm,
then you look at how many black people are there and how many white people live there, and I mean, there's a huge problem. Don't get me wrong; it's a dangerous place to be, Glasgow.
mhm.
But why is there no focus given? Why is there no attention given to this criminality here in London and beyond? it's just like the norm. It's expected. So I'm wondering if it was Arabs doing this, or if it was Chinese doing this, or if it was, Portuguese doing this, would the police be more focused in assisting them and trying to get to the root cause of this issue so this can stop and lives can be saved? I mean, is that a thing? Is that like, oh, it's just black people, let them kill each other kind of attitude? I'm not sure if that's the case, but I'm just putting it out there.
Maybe the motives would be questioned. I've heard it said that when black people kill someone, it's portrayed as gang violence. If a Muslim does it, it's terrorism.
Mm.
Look, everyone has their intention behind why they did what they did. But Omar, thanks for chatting to me tonight. I do appreciate it, mate.
Thank you,
And
pleasure.
we will do it all again soon. This has been Lessons for Life on a Wednesday night. We were here and we are gone. Latest.